What's older than we think? The first carbonated drink to be sold to the public was invented by Swiss watchmaker and amateur scientist J.J. Schwepp in 1783, who sold his delicious sparkling water to thirsty customers in Geneva. In just 7 years, he was doing business so fast that he moved the factory to London and introduced a new flavor, sparkling lemon, to stand out from competitors who were trying to imitate his drink. The AUX connector that we still use for headphones and speakers was invented in 1877. There have been improvements since, but the basics of it are pretty much the same. Thanks for linking it. You are a true hero. Beer is thought to be older than bread. It's much easier to fill a jar with wheat and water, let it ferment, and brew beer than it is to grind grain, mix it, and bake it. So you're telling me sliced bread is the greatest thing since beer? Huh? I remember reading or hearing somewhere that in ancient or medieval times, beer had a very low alcohol content and was very thick. It was essentially a dietary staple quite similar to the way bread is now. Sharks, as a species, are older than the rings of Saturn. Holy, I'd have heard of the tree thing, but this is new. Any sources? Just Google it really quick, LOL. Rings of Saturn are 10 to 100 million years old, whereas we have found shark scales dating back 450 million years ago. Pretty crazy it. National Geographic was founded in 1888, same year as Foster's and Jack the Ripper. I was really surprised to discover when Oxford University was founded. They don't know the year for sure, but they know there was definitely teaching going on there in 1096. Another commenter above said that Oxford isn't even the oldest university, but it's the most well-known. The electric car. What is likely the first human-carrying electric vehicle with its own power source was tested along a Paris street in April 1881 by French inventor Gustave Trouvé. The first crude electric car was built in the 1830s, but it was essentially a semi-functioning model. The electric car was a direct competitor to gasoline-powered vehicles until the 1920s, when roads got better. People started driving further than the range of an electric car, and the world started finding major oil reserves. The fact that the lighter is older than the match shook my head as a kid. It also gave me the curiosity to question things that seems obvious. When you think about it, it makes sense. The lighter is a simple mechanical concept, some flammable gas and a spark. The match, on the other hand, is a complex chemical reaction. Matches are just way more complex than I thought as a kid. They aren't just a stick of wood. Escalators have been around since 1859, though they were called rotating stairs. Yet the U.S. state of Wyoming still only has 2 of them. Granted, it's not like Wyoming has enough people to really need any more. Wyoming really isn't ready for it yet. Give them some time. Cruise control, power windows, and automatic headlights. I saw all 3 on a 1955 Cadillac. Oh, and the radio on it had a seek function. Yet my sister drives a car more than a half-century newer without power windows. Fax machines. They were invented in 1843, before the telephone came for this one. To put this in perspective, tumbleweeds aren't native to the American Southwest, but by a quirk of history we know exactly which shipment of flax from Ukraine brought their seeds to the U.S. In 1877, commercial fax service has been around longer than tumbleweeds in the American Southwest. I was mind-blown by the tumbleweed fact. A samurai could have used a fax machine. The Japanese do love a good fax. No, I'm serious. As far as I can tell, this is the Japanese business practice for sending an important document. Man types up document and prints it. Walks it over to boss. Boss hand corrects it and makes notes. Faxes it back despite being on same floor. Changes are made. Document is printed again and faxed to mailroom. Document is then faxed to business they are communicating with in the US. Fax is delivered as a .png to my email, tilted 90 degrees and barely readable. The ancient Romans, well, the wealthy ones, had central heating in their homes. You can actually still see the pipes in some of the buildings at Herculaneum. What I think is really cool from Herculaneum is that we're able to recover writing from the libraries there. The pyroclastic flow didn't turn the papyrus to ash. It preserved in a very damaged state. But thanks to lasers we can see the words that were once visible on the pages. Thanks to lasers. Thanks, lasers. On top of that, if you ever get the chance to see how Roman homes were designed, window placement, ceilings, etc. to naturally cool themselves, it's nothing short of incredible. Do you have any good book suggestions on the subject? It's a subject I've been meaning to learn about. Sharks. Sharks as a family are older than trees. The oldest evidence puts sharks in an era where the only multicellular plant was algae. Flushing toilets date all the way back to the Indus River Valley civilization. Back in 2000 BC, ancient Minoans, circa 3000–1100 BCE, had hot and cold running water and an extensive sewage system. Romans had pipe-heated floors, something I still thought was awesome when my aunt got it like a decade ago. I work somewhere where we can't wear our outdoor shoes due to biohazard concerns. You come in and take your shoes off, then have to go change and get into specific clothing. Then on the other side of that change area is where your work shoes and boots are. The in-between areas from door to change area have heated floors, because people are often walking around in bare feet or sock feet, and it's just the most coziest damn thing ever. I need to have heated flooring in my house for winter times. Oreos. I was shocked to learn that Oreos predate chocolate chip cookies, sliced bread, and my 100-year-old great-grandmother. You're going to make me Google the year, aren't you? 1912 for those wondering. Whoa, Oreos predate insulin. Makes sense. And before Oreos, there was Hydrox. And before Hydrox, there was the dark times. Brain surgery. In 1997, archaeologists discovered an ancient tomb in the French village of Encichim from 5000 BC, which contained the decomposing body of a 50-year-old man with holes in his skull. After a thorough examination, it was determined that the holes, located near the frontal lobe, were caused by a type of surgery, not by forced trauma, and the operation appears to have been successful, because the wounds healed before the patient's death. To this day, however, researchers cannot say for sure what exactly the surgery was trying to fix. The sentiment that modern society is degenerate and that the youth are to blame is ironic. One of the oldest things we have written down, that I can remember off the top of my head. Cato the Elder complained that the younger generations were becoming too Greek, and Socrates used to complain that the younger generations were ruining their brains by writing, instead of memorizing information. There are far more older examples, but those are the oldest I remember. Maybe Socrates was onto something. Socrates, my head hurts. It's because you always on that damn scroll. One of the reasons I like ancient poetry is the fact that most of the people problems are basically still the same. We think our problems are new and unique to us, but 2-3-4,000 years ago people wrote about stupid friends, coward co-workers, cheating AOLs, and of course stupid stubborn old people and reckless disrespectful young idiots. The name Tiffany, it dates back to the 12th century, and has actually led to a thing in writing called the Tiffany problem, because you can have a well-researched historical novel that people just don't buy into, because you named your 12th century peasant Tiffany. It just sounds laughably anachronistic. The Tiffany problem makes me think of Shakespeare's The Merchant of Venice and the name Jessica. He wanted the love interest, who was Jewish, to have a super exotic name, so he invented the name Jessica. The name has become so common since then that it's totally lost its effect. Shakespeare also randomly invented the word gossip, because he needed to define a bunch of wives in the town talking it and spreading rumors. And now it's part of common English language. Astronomer here. The star HD 140,283, also nicknamed the Methuselah star, is about 200 light-years away from us and looks nondescript. However, if we take its composition and compare it to our standard models of stellar evolution for other, beta-studded stars, the star's age pops out as 14.46 plus or minus 0.8 billion years old. Let me remind you, the universe is thought to be about 13.8 billion years old, and we don't think we got the first stars until maybe 200 million years after that. Obviously, we do not think the Methuselah star is literally older than the universe when it is more likely that we just don't understand stellar evolution for stars like it super well. However, it is exciting, because it is undoubtedly a very old star, and currently we do not have any observations of what the first stars were like in the universe. Called population 3 stars, it's thought they were larger than stars are today, because there were no metals from stellar fusion to contaminate the hydrogen gas, and they thus only live a few million years tops. As such, it's very interesting to have a very old star relatively next door to us in the Milky Way. It will be really interesting in coming years if other very early stars are finally observed to figure out how old they are, and how they compare to this one. Paul Rudd, 51. What the hell? That's just his mainland age. Over here, Cunu has no age. Oh, the weather outside is weather. Nintendo. This company was actually created in 1889. Nintendo was founded in 1889. Van Gogh painted Starry Night in 1889. Adolf Hitler was born in 1889. Hitler made the worst video games. That's why nobody likes him now. Didn't they make cards then? Yeah, they made Hanafuda cards and fought the Yakuza. Beer. It's one of the oldest prepared drinks in the world. It not only predates every civilization, but actually contributed to their creation. It's a tale as old as time. Getting freaking wasted to forget your problems. Tale as old as time. Beer's as old as wine. Beauty of the East. Small beer was a dietary staple, but it was low in alcohol. It was safer to drink than water and fairly nutritious. It's possible that the whole reason civilization started was to brew beer, as it wasn't as easy as hunter-gatherers. The year 1990. We are as close to it as we are the year 2050. I was born in 1990 and I hate this. I was 10 years old in 1990 and still think it was only 10 years ago. I don't know if this counts, but dinosaurs lived on the earth a lot longer than most people think. When you think of dinosaurs, you think of their extinction, but they roamed the earth for 165 million years. Compare that to our 6 million and it's almost mind-boggling, at least in my opinion. What's even crazier to me is that for most people in their minds there was dinosaurs, extinction, cavemen, us, like we popped out of the ash of the dinos. But in reality there were about 58 million years between the dinosaurs dying and the first Homo sapiens appearing, where the world was covered in mostly now extinct megafauna. Sure, dinosaurs are cool and all, but why does nobody talk about giant North American ground sloths, cave bears, and lions? There's literally tens of millions of years of interesting non-dinosaur species that most people seem to just not even know existed. Avocados originally relied on American ground sloths to reproduce. They were the only creature that could poo the seeds whole. Then ground sloths went extinct, probably due to overhunting by humans. Then humans cultivated avocados for the next few millennia, and now we still have avocados. Humans cultivated avocados for the next few millennia, and now we still have avocados. Certainly not via the same means as the American ground sloth. Do you have a better idea of how to do it? Trees. There are a lot of trees that are way older than you would expect. The oldest tree recorded on this planet is Methuselah, which is about 4K years old, but I'm pretty sure there are older ones out there that we aren't aware of. There's Pando, the giant super colony of quaking aspen trees. Though the individual trunks may only be a few hundred years old, the root system is over 40K years old. In the fairgrounds of the town I grew up in, there's a Sicilian oak that was planted for King George IV, 1820. If it wasn't for the little sign, you'd never know the tree was that old. Sharks are older than trees. Social media. Wealthy ancient Romans had a system where they used slaves as scribes and messengers in order to share gossip and art, poetry and news updates with friends in their social circle. Augustus, call slave. I want to share this joke with Ponitus, Prefect Tiberius. You have been tagged in the public forum in a mosaic of the drunken revelries on the Lupercal. Tribune Africanus liked this message. Dominus, Ponitus' slave has arrived with a scribe. It says share this with 15 slave masters or you'll die from Antoine Plague. Stonehenge. It predates the oldest pyramid in Egypt by nearly 300 years. Always the first wonder in Seville. It would be nice if the AI would let me grab it for once. But nope. I've even had a game where Shaka, from the fricking Zulus, built it before me. And Newgrange in Ireland predates even Stonehenge. Constructed 5,000 years ago, 3,200 BC. Netflix. I feel like it is only a few years old, but it was invented in 1997. I remember getting DVDs by mail from Netflix. I have been a continuous subscriber since 1997, before the streaming service even began. Google, Reddit, YouTube. It's hard to imagine that they already have been around for 15 years, with Google actually being around 20 years old. The entire generation has now grown up that cannot remember that it wasn't always there. As someone that was in high school when the internet hit the mainstream, it boggles my mind that pretty much anyone younger than me has no concept of life without the answer to any question imaginable being at your fingertips, hindered only by your patience to sift through the results. I had a class in elementary school to teach us how to use the dictionary, encyclopedia, and almanac, and, to some degree, the internet, though the teacher made it pretty clear the internet was absolutely second fiddle to the other things and probably wouldn't be around in 10 years. Do they still have those classes nowadays, or are they a thing of the past? Contact lenses. Leonardo da Vinci had the idea of contact lenses in 1508, and the first successful contact lenses were made in 1888. In so many fields, he was way ahead of his time. The guy truly was a visionary. He literally invented a diving suit and a paraglider long before they were actually invented. Scientists even tested whether his designs worked as intended, and they did. It's insane how far ahead of his time he was. We don't know it yet, but I'm pretty sure he was just a time traveler stuck in the 1400s. I'd read the book. He got stuck in the 1400s and did everything he could to make his name famous in hopes that someone in the future figures out when he's stuck and comes to rescue him. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please smash the like button and leave a comment which story you liked the most. Subscribe and hit the bell notification for updates on our latest videos. And don't forget to check the links in the description box for more awesome content.